You're not getting everything out of the pentatonic scale. Let's take every guitarist's favorite scale and explore some amazing sounds, not only for soloing but also chords. And since the pentatonic scale is easy to play and you already know it, these ideas will instantly fit into your playing. There's no reason to stay stuck just playing the same old boring pentatonic licks all the time. The scale that I'm talking about is of course E minor pentatonic. It is the most guitar-friendly scale known to man and everyone's favorite scale. Well, maybe except Alan Holdsworth.
You know, you got to start somewhere.
Now you already know how to use E minor pentatonic over E minor and E major chords, but let's go beyond that and explore how this scale can unlock new sounds in your playing. Looking at pentatonic scales this way can give you fresh melodic ideas and, as you'll see later, also some new chords. Check it out. The notes in E minor pentatonic are E, G, A, B, D. And these notes also appear in several different scales. You have it in C major, G major, D major, and D melodic minor. But for now, let's just focus on C major, especially C major 7. Now, even though the E minor pentatonic doesn't have a C in it, it still really nails the C major 7 sound because it contains E, the third, which really defines C major 7's major quality. Then you have the G, the 5th, and A, the 13th, which is a great color tone. You also have the B, the major 7, and D, the 9th, which is another beautiful color. These colorful extensions makes it incredibly easy to sound great over a C major 7 chord. Now you might be thinking, these notes are already in the C major scale, what's the big deal? But the thing is, music isn't just about the notes, it's about the sound. It's never about the notes.
Never about the notes.
The pentatonic scale has a built-in melodic structure that shapes your phrases, making your lines sound different from typical major scale or arpeggio-based licks. Check this out. Here I'm using E minor pentatonic over a C major 7 chord, and I'll also show you some useful scale patterns in a bit. Now compare that to this more traditional jazz line. The second example uses chromatic enclosures and also arpeggios. So things that are not in the pentatonic scale, but the pentatonic line follows different patterns, creating a distinct sound that you just won't get thinking arpeggios and scales. Now here's one of the patterns that are used in the pentatonic lick. And here's another great pattern which I play using small sweeps. These patterns lead to different melodic ideas compared to using arpeggios or traditional scales. And you can even mix them. Here I'm starting with an arpeggio and then go into pentatonic patterns. Whenever you're improvising over a major 7 chord, then you can use the minor pentatonic scale from the 3rd to get a fresh modern sound. I try to teach this as often as possible, even to Lee Anderson on Instagram. He liked it, but I'm not sure he ever did anything with it, which is kind of a pity because it could be really powerful for him. He really likes pentatonic scales. This concept is great for single note lines, but you can also turn these pentatonic shapes into incredible chords. And before we get to that, let's quickly explore which pentatonic scales actually work over a major 7 chord. Finding pentatonic scales for a 7th chord is actually a fairly simple process if you start with the 7-note scales. So every major scale contains 3 minor pentatonic scales. Let's take C major. For C major, then the notes are C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and C. And there are 3 minor pentatonic scales in that key. So you have A minor pentatonic, A, C, D, E, G, D minor pentatonic, D, F, G, A, C, and E minor pentatonic, E, G, A, B, D. Now, if you look at a C major 7 chord, then there are 2 major scales where you can find one of those. So C major, where is the 1 chord, and G major, where is the 4 chord. There's no major 7 chord in melodic minor, only a major 7 sharp 5. And harmonic minor doesn't contain any unaltered minor pentatonic scales. From C major, then we get A minor pentatonic, D minor pentatonic, and E minor pentatonic. From G major, then we get E minor pentatonic, A minor pentatonic, and B minor pentatonic. Now, D minor pentatonic is not that useful here because the F is unstable over C major 7. So that leaves us with A minor pentatonic, E minor pentatonic, and B minor pentatonic. A minor pentatonic is essentially C major pentatonic, and that can work, but we are kind of missing the major 7th, which at least I'm missing it. I know Pat Metheny doesn't really seem to mind, but still, this scale contains A, C, D, E, and G. So we kind of get a major triad, and then a 6th, and a 9th. And that will give you something like this. The more exotic choice is B minor pentatonic, which gives us B, D, E, F sharp, and A. So that's the major 7B, the 9th D, the 3rd E, and the sharp 11 F sharp. And we also get the 13th A. And this is really great if you want a Lydian sound, because the F sharp really adds that sharp 11 in there over the C major 7. Now here's what that sounds like. So far we've only looked at single note pentatonic ideas, but these same shapes are amazing chord voicings. That's where things get really fun. Pentatonic chords, it sounds impressive and complicated, but it's actually very easy to play because of the 2-note per string pentatonic scale positions. Let's move the E minor pentatonic scale down to this position, so it's a little bit closer to the chord. And this position is right next to this C major 7 voicing. And now you can play chord voicings like this. It's sort of a visual trick because these voicings are very easy to play. They come straight out of the 2-note per string pentatonic scale position. I'm sort of playing 3 strings at a time on one side of that position. So I'm thinking of the position as having sort of 2 sides. So this is the top one, and then this is the lower side. And then I can move down to the top side again, and then the other side. And like this I can move down through that position. I'm not naming any of these because we don't really need them to have different names. We're just all using them as great sounds on top of a C major 7. That sounds like this. And you want to hear all these voicings with the C in the bass. Then you can hear they all work, and that together they sort of form a huge C major 7 with a 9 and a 13, which is beautiful and full of color. Now you just need to get creative with how you play them. Now here's a beautiful way to break up these 3-note voicings. Now imagine using this sort of rich flow of chords at the end of a song, and this is my favorite way to arpeggiate these types of voicings. But here's the cool thing, these pentatonic chords sound beautiful in position, but what happens when you start moving them across the neck? That gives you a fresh perspective on chords and even some incredible solo lines. The chords are easy to play in one position, but there's a lot more to explore if you start moving them along the neck. And this is very similar to how you are probably already practicing diatonic shell voicings. But in a major scale, each chord has a clear, well-defined name. And that's not really practical for these voicings. And we don't actually need that anyway, because we're just using them over a single chord. That's what makes them so powerful. Now, if you take the positions as a starting point and move the 3-note voicings on the middle string set, then you get these easy-to-play chords. And check out how this instantly turns into a beautiful chord fill. And if you're playing a tune like You Stepped Out of a Dream, then you can comp like this on the first 4 bars. And notice the trick to shift between 2 chords at the end of the D flat major 7. Here I'm first just stating the basic chord, the C major 7, so that we have the basic harmony, and then I'm playing a short melody with the pentatonic chords. And then on the D flat major 7 I'm changing the melody a little bit, and here at the end I'm using my 4th finger to bar the 13th fret so that I can get that chord voicing and go back down to the other one really quickly. And that was just the basic voicings. Let's try an easy variation using this sus4 triad and try to spot where the shape gives you 2 other triads as well. Now I'm still not naming chords here because we're simply just moving a structure around the scale, and when you're doing that you will actually get major and minor triad inversions quite often. Did you catch the E minor and the G major triads? Because of course both E minor and G major triads are found in this pentatonic scale. Now I don't think of these as, for instance, D sus4 over C major 7, because that's really just too complicated. Instead, I'm just moving notes around inside the pentatonic scale, and I don't need to overthink it while I'm playing. Here's a great sounding C major 7 chord run using those arpeggiated voicings. But these shapes are also great for soloing because they're just shifting around a melody on the neck. So I'm using this on the C major 7, and there are sort of 3 patterns that I'm using. First this, then moving up to this one, and finally this one. And I'm playing them with a small sweep, so it's down, up, up, down, up, up, down, up, up, before resolving to the major 7, the B. And this is actually a picking pattern that's really great for diatonic triads and other things that you sort of move along the neck on a string set. So it's definitely worth checking out as well. Once you start thinking about chords like this as simple variations of pentatonic scales, it changes how you see the fretboard and makes it much easier to play freely. And that's actually how Joe Pass thought about jazz chords. And it's game-changing for your comping and chord melody playing to simplify things like that. Using that, you won't get lost remembering thousands of grips. And this approach is much more practical and helps you play music with the chord. Check it out. Learn jazz, make music.